again, people. I hope you're doing good. It is getting cold. You know, it's so funny because the weather here, November, has been interesting because it's been warm. Like, we've been having some like 70-degree weather, but then somehow it's getting cold again. So I'm back in my oversized sweaters, which I love. So I'm getting a lot of questions regarding destination weddings, and I wanted to address something that I get people ask me all the time. Like, when you do destination weddings, do you feel like you have to like how do you select your vendors? Like, what's that process of selecting vendors because you've never been to that place before or worked in that location? And you know, I always say to people, it's just about the same as it is when I'm local. Quite honestly, like, the only difference is that when I work with local vendors, I maybe, of course, because I've been in the DMV for a long time, so I kind of know like the who is who to do certain things. But when I'm working out of state, I just have to do like additional research. And I think the one thing I wanted to bring out from this video is like, you never stop doing research. Like, you literally never stop, even in the DMV. Like, there are times where every single year, probably every quarter, I do a thing where I just do a search. Like, I want to see what new vendors are in the area. Like, what are new photographers, new decorators that I can work with, that I can link up with. And it's important as a planner to always do research. Like, never get too comfortable where you're like, oh, I don't need to research what else is out there, because you'll be surprised. You might find some new venues that are hidden gems. Like, one thing I love is finding new venues. I get so excited when I find a new venue in the area because it's nice to always just keep yourself up to date. So never get comfortable to the point where like, oh, because I've done so many events here, I'm then going to not like stop researching. So the process of finding vendors at a destination location, whether it's within America or even outside of the country, it just requires you doing that research. So remember, whoever you were when you started, the same amount of like effort you put into like finding people, you then have to put that exact same amount of effort in finding someone in a different place. But I'm going to give you about 2 different tips of some ways that I find people. You know, of course, we have social media now, and so sometimes, you know, you search for vendors based on a hashtag, but sometimes that could be difficult. So the first thing I always do when I'm doing a wedding out of state or out of country is that I ask the venue to give me a list of their vendors. And this is something I talk about in the course that is titled, I think it's Advertising for Your Wedding Business. And this is beyond social media. I talk about the fact that a lot of people think social media is the beginning and end of everything. Like, that's where you do all your marketing and advertising. But I say to people, getting on venues list is still a thing. Because even though there's social media and there are ways that people find vendors, but there are also people who always still go to that list. Now, I can speak for myself that whenever I'm doing a destination wedding, and this is a tip for you, is ask the venue to give you a list of vendors that they have on their preferred list. And that's important because if a venue has a vendor on their preferred list, this is probably a vendor that provides like the best kind of service, that the venue is comfortable enough to even put them on that list. So that's one place I start from. Now, it's not where I stop, but it's one place I start from because it helps me know who are some vendors in this area. Then I also go online, do research, Wedding Wire, The Knot, and just Google like vendors in this particular area, especially when it's out of the country and maybe there is no Wedding Wire in that place or The Knot in that place. I then look and see what vendors are there, and I also look at reviews. Reviews are still a thing. I know a lot of people, because like social media, some people might have like 50,000 followers, so you might think like that means that their business is thriving or that they're the best vendors to hire. But you want to read what people are saying, customers are saying about that particular vendor before you choose to consider hiring them, especially when it's a destination event. So of course, it's a little bit more, I would say, scary when you're hiring a vendor for a destination event, because even though sometimes I haven't worked with a vendor locally, I can pick up the phone, call my planner friends and be like, hey, I'm trying to hire this vendor, what do you think? But when I'm doing a wedding in, I don't know, Florence, Italy, or in Los Cabos, Mexico, like I don't know people. I can't call nobody. I don't know who to call to ask them what their feeling was like working with that vendor. So if you know someone that's local, that's a second way to do it, where you can actually ask them for some referrals and ask them for their opinion of someone you're thinking about hiring. But if you don't know someone that's local, I would say the first place to start is look at the list of vendors from that venue, people who they have as their preferred vendors. You want to contact those people. You want to get information about their pricing and the way that they do their service, because another thing to keep in mind with destination events is that the service that you might be used to in your state state in America, if it's a different country, the way they do things might work differently. So maybe they expect gratuity in cash at that specific location, and you typically give the gratuity, maybe in your state, you give the gratuity as a part of the fee that the couple is paying. You want to know the different things that matter to vendors, and so that's the reason why you want to do your research. You never want to stop at one. So a lot of times I say get at least 3 to 5 vendors in each category of vendors you're trying to hire for a destination event, because you want to make sure that, you know, some of the things that that things kind of align across the board. So if I get quotes from 5 different decorators or 3 different decorators in a different country, then I have a sense of looking at their contracts or their proposals and saying what aligns, what doesn't align, or what seems out like kind of like a little different from this person to that person, not just in the numbers, but in maybe in the way they present their service, because it helps you understand a lot more about the area. So there are many other things that you can do and should do, and I would try to do a lot more, I guess, videos on destination events or destination weddings, because I've been getting a lot of questions about those once I kind of put 1 or 2 things out on my page, and also I put 1 or 2 things out in the mailing list. If you don't already follow me, if you're not already subscribed to the mailing list, you should subscribe to the mailing list, because I send weekly emails and weekly things to help empower and encourage people. But I've gotten a lot of questions about it, so I'll try to do more videos and answer more questions. But I did want to come on to say that one of the first things you should do when you are planning a destination event is ask the venue for their list of preferred vendors, and you want to contact those vendors. You also want to get at least 3 different quotes for vendors within that area that provide the service you're looking for, to make sure that you are looking at what things matter to that specific location, that specific region, or that specific country. So you're not taking your knowledge from the DMV and trying to apply it to, you know, Italy or to Greece, where the way they do things might be different. So those are 2 things I just want to leave you with. You want to keep in mind as a planner that you want to try to get on those lists, because those things matter. Like, you have brides who, once they pick a venue where they want to get married, they're not necessarily looking to do things on their own. So they just want to pick the list that the venue has provided, and they want to pick all their vendors from that list. There are couples literally like that. And so what you want to do as a planner is find ways to build really good relationships with vendors, with venues and the owners, so that way, or the managers, or the managers, like whoever's in charge at the venue, you want to build a good relationship so you can get yourself on that list. Because even though it seems like everybody just checks social media these days, I promise you that is one of the other ways that you can advertise your business outside of social media. So as a tip for you to look at the list when you're planning a destination weddings, but also as a tip for you is to find a way to get on those lists, because those things can also have a huge impact on your growth of your business. And it's not dead. Like, people think like those things don't matter anymore, but I promise you they do, because just as I'm a planner, I still look at that list. I've hired, lighting companies, I've hired, DJs and videographers from a list from a different country. You can imagine that if someone is in a different country trying to get married in your state, they're probably doing the same, looking at those lists to be able to pick a planner, for instance. Some people want to pick a planner who knows the venue that they want to get married in. Like, some people have decided, whatever happens, this is where I'm getting married. They know the venue, but then they need to pick vendors who have actually worked at that venue. So for you as a planner, it's helpful for you to find ways to get on lists of venues that you would love to work with. And that way you can also, that's one of the ways that other people can find you outside of social media or Wedding Wire, or all these other places. So I hope this was helpful. And I'll try, like I said, I'm going to try to do some more tips of planning when it comes to destination weddings and events. All right, bye.